Hey, yo, ESPN is claiming that Errol Spence, hey, stop that cat, and Terence Crawford, the rematch is now in jeopardy. So let's talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. ESPN, they just put out a tweet followed with the link to an article. Errol Spence Jr. said he had cataract surgery, putting his rematch with Terence Crawford in doubt. Spence said that he wouldn't retire. The timeline for recovery is typically 8 weeks. This follows Spence's surgery for detached retina back in August 2021. Now, ESPN is the only source that is reporting that the rematch is now suffering or in jeopardy or anything like that. I understand that Errol Spence put out the video and he had the tweet. I made a video about it, but he didn't say anything about, he definitely ended and killed the notion that he was going to retire. So if you're wanting to see Errol Spence back in the ring, that's definitely good for that purpose, because some people are saying, oh, he needs to retire and things like that. He already deaded that and told you he's not retiring. So I don't know why ESPN put out that the rematch is in jeopardy. The article says, and it's the same information that I looked up, it says that the approximate recovery time for a cataract surgery, the standard cataract surgery, is approximately 8 weeks. So 8 weeks, that's not the end of the world. It's not like, oh, now the fight has to be canceled. The rematch must be canceled. However, I will say this. Terence Crawford, it will be interesting to see, based on the fact that rematch clauses typically have they always have basically an expiration date where the rematch must be, the clause, once you have it, you have up to a certain point to trigger the rematch clause. And I would imagine there's a window or a length of time that you have before that becomes invalid, because at the end of the day, you could just potentially hold up a champion's whole career with the rematch clause. So in an effort to deter that, it has to be some types of expiration date or some day or window in which you become a free man and removed from the rematch clause. I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world, because how would you ever fight again? Like, a person can lose to you, but they were a champion when you fought, and then have a rematch clause and then trigger the rematch clause and then just neither one of you guys get back in the ring. That wouldn't make much sense. So there has to be some kind of end date. I don't know what that is, because I'm not privy to the contract. So I guess it's technically possible that the fight could be in jeopardy if Terence Crawford is like impatient and hasty and doesn't want to rematch Errol Spence. And I guess if that date is encroaching and he's not willing to work with PBC or work with Errol Spence to make that happen. But as of right now, we haven't heard Crawford say much of anything. The only thing he put on social media when Errol Spence said he had cataracts covering his eye, he just said no comment. So he didn't say all that. Now, behind the scenes, maybe ESPN spoke with Crawford, but they didn't include that in the article. So for me, I don't really know that this fight is in jeopardy unless this is something like that takes longer than expected and Terence Crawford grows impatient. But here's the thing is, me, I'm a big picture thinker. So let's say that's the case. Crawford's a free agent. Let's say he gets out of the rematch. Some people are like, oh, Errol Spence doesn't deserve a rematch, so Crawford should just leave him in the dust. Okay, let's say all of that happens. Let's say Errol Spence, his recovery time pushes out Crawford, and Crawford's like, man, I'm 30-something years old. I want to stay active, and I don't have time to wait. Okay, what does Crawford do from then? What fight is out there for Terence Crawford? Because most of the fights that I can think of that are seriously realistic that Crawford would then want to fight, most of them are with PBC, which was Crawford's problem from the beginning. He stayed with Top Rank, and they just didn't have a playground big enough with the appropriate contemporaries and students for Crawford to mingle with and tango with. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing now. Let's say he leaves Errol in the dust, or the recovery just takes too long. Okay, who is he gonna fight? He called out Canelo. I doubt that fight happens, but Canelo got a multi-fight deal with PBC. He wants to fight, let's say, Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis, he was with Cameron Duncan, who just passed away, and he says his loyalty is with Espinoza, and Showtime's out of the business. So with that being said, people knew that Showtime was out of the business. I wouldn't be surprised if Steven Espinoza of Showtime somehow has a position or some kind of role with PBC and their new deal with Amazon Prime. I don't know, because the Amazon Prime deal came out and they haven't really went over the logistics. So I'm just spitballing all this information. I cannot think of a reasonable fight, because for me, people have used the name like Devin Haney. They're both snack athletes. I just don't see them fighting. Devin Haney, that's not even the type of fight you should take if you're just moving up to 147. I don't know if you really want to fight a Terence Crawford. That's not a knock on Devin Haney. That's just my honest opinion. Crawford's not, he's a seasoned vet. It's not the type of fight you want to move up and wait and fight a Crawford. So I really think his best bet is to wait. Beyond that, even with like a guy like Boots, Crawford already told you that he's on a different path than Boots, and it's a lose-lose situation to fight Boots. So it's going to be interesting if what ESPN is saying is true, which I have my doubts about in terms of the fight being in jeopardy, because even if it is and the contract runs out, the rematch clause time frame runs out, who can Crawford honestly fight? That is a true-to-life question that I need you, yes, you at home, I need you to answer in the comment section and let me know who on earth you think he can fight, because the Errol fight makes the most sense. But if he doesn't want to wait or he grows impatient, who's he going to fight? Jermell Charlo, Tim Tszyu, they're all with PBC. So who's to say that PBC will give up all these other fights and accommodate you if you're not willing to work with them and honor the rematch clause? You know what I mean? So lots of questions that still need to be deciphered and answered. ESPN is claiming that this fight is in jeopardy, but until I hear from the horse's mouth, either Errol Spence or Terence Crawford, I don't really believe that. I don't believe that the fight is in jeopardy. And again, being objective, even if it was in jeopardy, who is Crawford going to fight at his current age? He got stripped of one belt. Jaron Ennis got the other belt. 54, the big names that he would want to fight. I mean, I guess he could fight Virgil Ortiz now that I think about it, but is that really what Crawford wants to do? Fight a guy like Virgil Ortiz, who has had one fight in like the last year, last 15, 17 months. He's had one fight that ended in one round controversially with the whole Tony Weeks saga. Make sure you check out my Tony Weeks video. Let me know what you guys think. Who can Crawford even fight if the Errol Spence rematch clause runs out, or if the fight is in jeopardy as ESPN is depicting? Let me know in the comment section, and I'm out.